whenever somebody is defiant, you have certain ways to punish them, and in a way and manner, in a certain way, that certain kind of rule based order was put across people, that it's not the old sort of coloniality imperialism. It really boiled down to mostly economic imperialism in a sense, or excluding you out of that global economy. People don't really understand the cost of it. People would say, so what, there are so many people in Iran, there's so many people here, they can create their own economy, that economy can create wealth, and all that sort of hypothetical utopic exclusivist ideological project. What does a sanction, economic sanction, and hard economic sanction do to a nation?
Well, I mean, firstly, it suffocates the nation because we don't live in, we can't live in, we're not Robinson Crusoe. We can't live in an island. The modern economy is very complicated. You have things you need to trade with other people. World trade is very important. It may be, for a country like India with the size of India, its internal market is enormous, and so external trade, may not be such an important thing. But India has to import energy, so it has to export things to be able to import energy, and so it's always going to be linked. We are socialized in our production. We need to import chips. We need to import computers, and so on. You can try and build things, and perhaps one should try and build things, but there'll always be things that one is linked to other places, to various commodity chains and so on. It's impossible to live as an island, frankly. Even if you have a huge market like China, enormous, it's still going to need to export things, import other things, and so on. So sanctions cuts you off from the modern economic life, and it creates all kinds of distortions. Because you can't legally trade, you have to open up channels for illegal trade. I mean, Hawala, for instance, the Hawala network becomes a normal thing, and everybody then gets involved in this, and it distorts legal economic activity. You start seeing, currency markets have double currency rates and bazaar rates and the government rates and so on. And then people start to speculate against the bazaar rate or against the government rate. And that creates monetary problems in a country, So sanctions distorts. That's the first thing. And then it distorts human life because you can't get access to certain medicines. You can't get access to, say, the fluids for the cleaning of your blood, for dialysis. People who need dialysis just can't get it done. That's horrible, because you have to import the fluids, etc. You really suffocate people's everyday life. It's not just economic, their health, the education. Kids can't get access to computers, or in some cases the government fears an attack because they are being attacked economically and so on, that they restrict access to the internet because they fear an information attack on their public, where, a country can come in and say all kinds of things about the government, create stories, start rumors, and the governments fear that. So they create a firewall. Well, then you have a hard time accessing certain kinds of information. You have a hard time accessing scientific journals and so on. This really does end up distorting various parts of human life. So what a lot of heavily sanctioned countries have done is they're trying their best to create a kind of socialization of sanctioned countries, open each other up to each other. I mean, it's a bad thing to interfere with rumors and lies about a country. I think it's a terrible thing. It creates all kinds of problems. It means that people don't know what's true and what's false. It creates fear, and there's an explosion. Well, a car backfired, and you think, oh my God, we're under attack. In Venezuela, anytime there's a noise, people are afraid. I mean, in Lebanon, an anthropologist, wrote a terrific book where he argued that people are always waiting for the next war because they are not sure which drone above their head is going to drop a bomb on them. Kids in Gaza are traumatized for generations. Any sound is scary. This is all part of the sanctioned universe. Half the planet lives on in the sanctioned universe. It's the international division of humanity. They live under one or the other form of sanction or war. And the other half doesn't know what this means. They think these people are exaggerating things. They don't know what it means. That the United States prevented Venezuela from getting syringes, prevented Cuba from buying syringes from India during the pandemic. That's part of the war. That means COVID couldn't be contained as well as it should have been. The US deliberately stopping access to medication is going to put you in a sanctioned universe where you watch somebody die, you blame your government. That's the first thing you do. You don't blame the sanctions policy, you blame your government. My child is not able to get this medicine. I blame the government. I don't blame. And so then I say, let's just surrender to the United States. Let's get the medicine. That's what sanctions does to you. It in fact strips you of your dignity, and you say, okay, I'd rather live as a slave with the medication than as a free person, rather than say I'd rather die standing up than live on my knees.